And we're
Welcome. It's
live.
another Friday. Welcome. It's another Friday, and we're here on the Murfreesboro Live Show. We are here today with special guest Pete Doughty of the Rutherford Reader. And with that, I'll pass it to John Gessler, who will be interviewing Pete today.
Good morning. This is John Guest with Murfreesboro Live. We'll be interviewing, as promised, last week with Pete Doughty with the Rutherford Reader, also owner of Eagleville Times. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
What I'd like to do, of course, is talk about what we did last week in that talk about your paper, talk about what's in it today, talk about how long you've been in the paper business or reporting, and then maybe some of the things that are coming up for the Eagleville area. But with that, for that really to happen, I guess part of it is we're going to need you. Of course, we talked about last week. You've sued the county. Can you tell us a little bit about what precipitated that, where we are now, and where that hopes to be?
Yes, John. We decided about a year or two ago, that the only recourse that we had left was to sue the county, and it's on and because of legal notices, public notices. In '06, we applied, and at the time you had to go through the state attorney general's office to get a favorable opinion or whatever they wanted to share, that you were a general general circulation, or you weren't. And so anyway, we have been, since '06, we've been turned down 3 different times. And after the last one, the Attorney General's office has bowed out of issuing any kind of opinion to newspapers for the purpose of running legal notices. So after that, we figured that, okay, there's nobody in the state that you have to go to, and if you meet the criteria, which is pretty simple, print once a week, be a paper of general circulation, and be a paper of general interest, that we should have no problem.
Now, excuse me. Now,
Yeah.
do they have, when they say general circulation, do they have a number that it has to go out, like a minimum number that's printed?
No.
So
No.
there's no minimum.
No, there is no minimums, and it's probably just as well, because papers that had a larger circulation, say a few years ago, or 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, newspaper circulation has been dropping, and so that would affect who could run and who couldn't run. So it's, I guess that's why they use the word general.
Because I was curious, because of course when I was growing up, I was a paper boy.
Yeah.
And everybody got the paper, and there was almost a lot of the boys, and my dad had a paper out too when he was younger.
Right.
So I didn't know if that had anything to do with their criteria. But no.
No, there's 2 different categories. If you are a paper, say like the local daily, you have subscribers, and you have a postal permit, second class permit. Then what the rule is, in order to get notices on elections, you have to have are running legal notices, and they do not have an opinion from anybody. And I've talked to these publishers, and they just said, "Hey, run them." Well, it's easy for them to say because I can't get the county clerk's office to include us in the choices.
And now the paper was served. I guess this is the second week since the county was notified. What's going now in the lawsuit? Where are you? What do you expect? How long does it take?
Well, the it was supposed to go before Chancellor Corlew. His term is up, or he's retiring, and so he has recused himself for this particular case. Now, what we have to do is wait for his replacement to be seated, which is next month. And from what I understand, is that the county then, or the court, somebody has 30 days to respond to this court order. So somebody's going to have to make a decision one way or the other. I'd say by the end of September.
Okay, and then as the traffic rolls by, as if assuming the court sides with you, then when would you expect the county and I guess the cities too would be then obligated to use or to make it
Well,
available?
yeah, they should be obligated at that point to make this available. Uh, Actually, we did not sue, the lawsuit did not include the city. It just, we've never gotten anything from the city, and except we're going to check into it, check into this or check in that, which to me is a delay tactic. But anyway, that's what they've chosen to do. The county should, county clerk should put us back on the table with the other two newspapers. Um, but I don't know whether they have to or not. I would think a court order uh, recognizing the reader as a paper of general circulation uh, should be the end of it. But we'll see.
And with that, what's in the paper today? What is in the paper that people are picking up, and when they open the reader today on this Friday, and it is a beautiful day.
com, you have access to the paper just as it's printed in the hard copy. You can also, I think you have to have one of those newer fancy phones. I don't think you can do it on one of them little ones, so I probably should be using. But anyway, you can pick us up off of your telephone also. So it's kind of leveled. It's leveled it, and it's given smaller newspapers what has happened. The larger ones have sort of priced themselves out of the market. They are losing readership because there's a thousand ways to get information today.
Yeah.
And what it has done, they have sort of left the original idea of what they were supposed to be, a hometown community paper. Then they're no longer doing that. So it has opened it up for papers like us to start to become the local papers, and that's good for the smaller publishers. But we're happy that we're able to compete, and we have I think we have a real good following, and we deal in the truth. And I know there are often times that publications like us, and especially us, we're referred to as bigots and whatever else they can think of. But what is hateful, and matter of fact, that's another word that's used by some people, that we're a hateful, hate speech publication. But what's hateful about the truth? You know, the people just, they today a lot of people, they don't fear God, but they fear the truth, and that's I think that's a sad state of affairs at this point.
Well, in like you mentioned, technology changing.
Yeah.
Used to, when you had the local radio or the local TV stations, they would put stuff like this on the air, and now it's left up to others to fill that void, such as this.
Right.
And I had a blog talk radio show, and a couple times I have interviewed different politicians running for office around here, and go to the site there, you can find them. But 5,000 and 10,000 people would listen out to recording, so they've downloaded it, listened to their car. But it's amazing the number of viewers that use technology. And with the phone here, I've gone to the Rutherford Reader and picked up something, a score for a game or something else that's going on.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good. Okay. It also doing stuff like you're doing and others providing and putting out, whether it be local information or opinions or whatever. I think it's good because on the other hand, it makes newspapers and radio stations or TV stations, it makes us look for better ways to communicate with the reader and to give them what they're looking for. And I think that, a full page commentary on something, people probably don't have or don't want to take the time to read all of that. But if you shorten it and get to the point, tell the truth about what you're talking about and sharing, then I think it's great that people like you and Ken and Gary that are making this stuff available. And I never thought I'd be sitting on a park bench talking into a telephone.
I know we talked about that before.
Yeah.
I still like the idea of a camera and other things, but
yeah,
I've looked at it. I think Ken wants to jump in and ask a question.
No, I wasn't jumping in. I was just agreeing that it's a great thing.
Okay. Yeah, I do think that accountability, and I think that's kind of what a local paper or like a local podcast like this holds people accountable.
Well, I think it does too. I think that it's unfortunate but uh, power and money uh, makes a different person out of people that are appointed or elected or whatever. And you think that prior to them being elected, that man, I've got to support him or her because uh, they deal in the truth, and I know that they're going to do things right. Maybe not everything suit me, but then once they get in there and have a little power, then you find out what the real person happens to be, and you know that's what I've been finding out since we've been trying to uh, be part of the public notice group.
Well, and on those lines, how do you decide the content of the paper?
Well, you have to have a feel for your market, and it's when the paper's free and it's being picked up from a stand, you're not really sure what the demographics are. And you could say, well, I think, or one competitor might say, well, there's nothing but rednecks that like that particular paper and older people, and we, target the younger ones. Well, I know that we have people in their 20s, and we have people in their 70s and 80s and however old,
Mid 40s reading.
and mid 40s reading it, which I think is, speaking of the mid 40s, 40 range, 30s and 40s, I think it's good that there are people such as yourself that still like to hold what they're consuming as far as news and pictures, etc. And plus, you can do it in your leisure. You can read the front page here with a cup of coffee in the morning, come home at night and finish reading it if you like. Anything that's happening that's an emergency or someplace just bombed another place, you're going to get that news. We're not going to have it anyway. None of the papers that you bought that morning or picked up are going to have it. So that part of your daily information is covered by those things. So you want to know what is happening locally. You may not be interested in being party to the circuit that raises money and stand around for photos with a drink in your hand. You might be at a parent-teacher meeting, or you might be at a Little League meeting, but you would like to either be mentioned or seeing that once in a while, or at least knowing that there is a publication in the area that will run that type of stuff.
Well, on that note, after the commercial for last week for this week's show,
Yeah.
I know we were sitting right around here, and a lady walked by that you had her family picture in black and white.
Yeah.
I'm not usernames, we haven't got clear and all that. But you're right, you were showing the history of the county and giving that information out and helping people with genealogy. And what a thing that and it is interesting here to remember where we've come from.
Sure.
Because both of us have moved here from somewhere else.
Correct.
So it's neat learning about the local history.
Well, I think local history, no matter where you live, is very interesting. I know that when we went to Bishop, California, and were running the papers there in Mammoth Lakes, is that there was a lot of history in that valley also, which is across the country. And we started, I started with the help of a lady by the name of Jane Fisher, who had been there all of her life. She knew the history of that valley. And she and another woman and I had coffee at somebody's table, kitchen table one morning. And we decided that we would put a publication together, a quarterly one. It was called Times and Tales of Inyo and Mono Counties. And so we started that. That became real popular. And we had subscribers all over the state and beyond. And so, but there are publications like that that are available around here, and I think that's really important. And like that, talking about that was, if you happen to see that picture, there was a ton of family members that were meeting. Matter of fact, I think they're meeting tomorrow, August the 30th, and I think that's great. And who knows? It might be somebody that grew up with them that didn't realize that they were going to do it tomorrow. They might want to stop by and see whoever they went to school with or lived the next farm over from.
Now, real quick, since you can read the reader online as well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a tracking, or do you have more or equal, or is it growing with interest online as well?
Yeah, actually it is. When we first started, and there were advertisers and different people wanting to know, well, how many hits do you have and how many eyeballs and what have you. I just settled in on, I'd like to know how many people go to the website itself. And so for the first 2 quarters of this year, we have averaged right at 88,000 people that went to our website per month. And to me, that might not be very good as far as the industry is concerned, but I'm delighted because one thing that I do know that all of those visits are not from Rutherford County. They're beyond. I know people in California, Washington State, Kentucky, Indiana that read it on a regular basis on our website. So it's gained a lot of popularity there.
We talked a little bit about the growth in Eagleville, a few minutes ago, and mostly about the streets. And I guess that's a sign of any growth for any community. I remember when we moved from Prescott, Arizona to Washington, D.C. area in Springfield. Washington, D.C. had just gone through a huge, it must have been because repaving program.
Yeah.
Within about 6 months after they were done, they noticed they had to fix all the water lines and stuff. So they dug up the street.
Dug it up.
But it had been some of the worst roads in the country for years. I don't remember exactly, but over a year or two of repaving the streets.
Yeah.
And then within 6 months of having nice streets, the winter didn't get there before the backhoes did. But with the growth of Eagleville, are there more people out there picking up the paper? Have you seen the difference, interest coming back?
Actually, yes. Yeah. And matter of fact, in Apple Hill, I was surprised that there's many people that do pick up the reader out there. And the Rex's Foodland grocery store there, we have a rack in each door, at each end of the entrance there. And Chris, the owner, his family owns it, but he loves the reader and he encourages his customers to pick it up. And at one time, and he still does, if I drop them there, the previous week's papers that I pick up and maybe some extras, I give them to him, and he has the people that register that are bagging and checking your groceries out, put them in the bag. And I never asked him that. That was his idea. So I thought that was, pretty nice.
That is great.
And when you have situations like that, then you want to do more for the communities that you're in. And so, I'm thinking about ways to include them, and perhaps it'd be a good idea to pick up some of their football information this season. as well as Eagle. Now, the daily paper here does a great job on the local high schools and stuff. They have, they have the staff to do that and the system to do that. We don't. So a Friday night football game next Thursday, putting the score in is kind of waste of space. But we can focus on one kid or one incident or something the coach said or whatever, which is not picked up in the other papers. So we do look for ways that we don't just pick up something that or try to duplicate what the other publications do. We want to take a different angle.
I know that when I'm out there after I take the children to school because of the Rockville, get my play against the Rockville school zone. But I'll sit out there and have a biscuit or coffee with some of the guys out there at the grocery in Eagleville.
Yeah.
And they'll pick it up, or there's a lot of things going on there that are very surprising.
Well, it is. Matter of fact, I was told just yesterday morning that if there was a certain thing that we would do, which I'm not going to share that right this minute.
Can we have breaking news on this at a different
yeah,
time?
this
We'll
is
get some
breaking news. But anyway, I was told just yesterday morning that there was a certain thing that we would start doing that there's a bunch of people that would really like that, and probably just for that one item, they would probably drop another publication because that's, I mean, it's funny because, with newspapers, I've always had the opinion that your subscriber or local people that use your product, they always have a love-hate relationship with it. And so it's like Listerine, you use it once a day, but they don't like it, but they do use it once a day, But the thing is, with that, is that people come and go. They get mad at you because you print something, they don't pick the paper up. Then they, a few weeks later, somebody tells them about something that was in that particular product, and then they go, "Yeah, you used to pick it up," and then they start picking it up again. So it's kind of interesting what people want to see, and like that comment yesterday, we have to really take a serious look at it, and nothing that's major that we'd have to do about it. It's just something that I haven't thought about. But you have to listen and understand what these people want. You can't give everybody everything they want, but there are certain things, people, I know over the years, people will pick up the paper for sports. They'll pick it up for classified ads. They'll pick it up for Ann Landers or whatever. And that might be all they, read.
Or the funny thing.
Or the comics, yeah.
And I'm not quite old enough, but I've heard about this. Some people I've heard pick it up to see if they're still alive or not.
Oh, yeah. I'm beginning to do that myself.
I might wait till next year or two before I get in there, but I push that one. I might procrastinate that one as long as I can.
I never thought about it when I was your age.
But along those lines, when you look at large organizations, my wife and I were talking about this last night, as a matter of fact. Sometimes you get into a large organization and it's unwieldy. They can't, for certain reasons, they can't just change on a dime. They're not nimble anymore. Now, if they have enough, if somebody high enough in the organization says make it happen, that's different. But as far as getting information, like what you said, if people want you to change, you could probably do that easier than a large organization. So there's good and bad with growth.
Well, yeah, I just asked Kay and son Jay, what do you think? And if I get one of them to agree with me, then
you got a majority, huh?
we change on dime. You know, the current format that, you know, we've gone from a tabloid size to a broadsheet, looked more like a newspaper. We were and have been a newspaper, but people, you know, the perception is it looks more like a paper. Well, we didn't make a big deal and promise you're going to love this and we're going to be able to do that and so forth. We changed. We just did it. And I think I've had one person ask why we changed. That person was asking for a friend of his. And so I think that, matter of fact, I know we've gotten an awful lot of comments that they like the format. The content hasn't changed. We still, you know, do basically the same thing that we've done since day one, but it just looks different. And sometimes I think you have to do a slight change, but I don't think you have to have the Salvation Army band on the street corner to announce it. You know, you just do it.
Well, do you have anything before we start wrapping up the show that the viewers can look forward to, any breaking news or something that may come out in the Reader or upcoming stories that, because I know we're going to be able to, it is interesting. We've done this show, this hangout off and on, and last week I've talked to a handful of people that said, oh, we were searching different things, and the Reader came up because of, I don't know, I guess Ken knows more about this stuff, the searches. Is there anything that we can share with people today?
Well, one thing that we're looking at, okay, we have had a lot. Now, you know, a lot to me might be 100 people, and a lot to you is 1,000 people. But we've had a lot of people requesting home delivery, and we're not really in position to, or haven't been in a position to do that. But we're looking into it, and we are breaking the county up into various zones, and we're going to, and this is for subscription home delivery, not to ride by and sling it in your yard or under your car or whatever, although that could happen too, subscribe to it. But anyway, that's one thing that we're looking into, and I would think that we're probably going to test the waters here before the end of the year.
You heard it here first. That's a big time change.
Actually, it is, and it's just not something you shoot, you know, from the hip to do. You really got to sit down and plan how you're going to attack this thing in case it really takes off, which you hope it does. But you know, it's not easy. I know that when we first started, we were printing 10,000 pieces, and then we were just throwing them in yards like some others do, to sit in the garage or the living room and fold and bag 10,000 pieces. It took a number of people to do, and then everybody takes off in different directions, and it was still, that was a big job. And so I think during the summer one year, one of our sons was driving and I was throwing, or vice versa, and it was hot. I mean hot. And I looked at him, and I guess he was thinking the same thing. I said, I think this or next week will be the last time I'm going to do this. So at that point, we started putting racks out, and I think it's good because, you know, you never know when somebody doesn't want the paper, and you throw it in their yard, and when ones that do call and ask you or tell you not to throw your trash in their yard, how many more feel the same way but yet never took the time to call? So I thought, you know, it'd be a lot better if they want the paper, they know where to go pick it up, and that's been one of the best things that we've done so far.
Well, last thing before, I know we probably need to go, and Gary is going to have some local sports and stuff that he's found from the paper. Can you name off a couple of locations? I'll throw in Sewell's Grocery in Eagleville, and you mentioned the one in Chapel Hill. Are there places in Christiana and Murfreesboro and maybe up towards the VA that people can pick up the reader?
Yeah, right behind where we're sitting, City Cafe is a good spot. Speaking of the VA, we were in the VA for about 9 years, and I mean, we were probably getting rid of 200 to 300 papers a week in there, and we had a little rack as you go into the emergency room information area, and we had actually, speaking of the truth, there was a Muslim woman that went in and complained about our paper. It was a hate speech publication, and the administrator out there, Juan Morales, decided to throw us out. And that created a lot of complaints from veterans, and I mean people that come from Chattanooga or wherever to when they come here, they like to read, but they decided to throw us out. I guess that was being politically correct, and I happen to be a veteran, but that didn't make any difference when I talked to him. So anyway, these things happen, but you can find the reader throughout the county. You can find we have a pretty good following over in Woodbury, Eagleville, beginning to in Chapel Hill, Shelbyville, a little bit in Manchester, Tullahoma, but then we only do that to circle Shelbyville back to Woodbury and back into Murfreesboro. But with people wanting it delivered, want to subscribe to it now, is a different stage of about 14 years that we've completed, and we're into our 15th year. So the people like the paper. It's people around here that make the decisions for the rest of us. I think they're the ones that dislike the paper, and I think they're the ones that fear the truth.
Well, I appreciate your time this morning.
John, I enjoyed it.
And maybe we'll have lunch over at the Gondolier in a little bit.
Okay, well, I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's a lot of good information. And I do appreciate you showing the paper's position, which happens to be yours as well, but to the viewers how things can work when someone says we don't want this here because of an opinion. But like you say, there's others that if they would speak up, they may get it back.
True.
But anyway, it doesn't change the truth.
No, it doesn't.
Whether the paper is there or just because, well, it's a whole different show, but the truth is what it is, as they say.
It sure is.
So I'm going to take over this part, and then we'll turn it over to Gary in a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Enjoy. Have a good weekend.
You too.
This has been a segment with Pete Doughtie with the Rutherford Reader, and the information he's provided is also available. You can watch this again, but you can look at his paper, and the people that want the information is out there for you. And there's a lot of good information in the paper, and for advertisers, what a great way to get your information that you need someone, if they want to have your service or hire you. It's a great publication in circulation to have it in there. And here in a second, Gary Washer will be joining us, and he will be giving some local information for sports and stuff. And then Gary and Ken will end up closing out the show. And I'll let Gary scoot over a little more, and he can do this, and he can close out the show.
Basically, what I'm going to be talking about is the schedule for tonight. It's going to be a great night for high school football. It's going to be 82 degrees and a little bit partly cloudy. But just to give you an update, football started last week, so we'll give it a little bit of record. Blackman, who is 1-0, is hosting Brentwood tonight. And for those of you who may be more into the band, Blackman is one of those bands that tends to do a lot of flashy shows, so that's a good one to go see. Oakland, who is 0-1 right now, is hosting White Station tonight. Riverdale, who's 1-0, will be hosting Bradley Central. Siegel, who's 0-1, will be hosting Ooltewah. Also, if you're into the band instead of the football, that's another good one to see. Usually they have some outrageous things that they have going on. Smyrna, who is 1-0, will be at Cane Ridge tonight. Laverne, who is 0-1, will be at Wilson Central tonight. And Stewart's Creek, who is 0-1, they will be hosting Tullahoma. So that is the Rutherford County High School football schedule for tonight. And we'll keep you updated on that as things go. And we look forward to having you on further weeks as we have different guests and different things coming up. Like we'll be having in the near future Rodney Bryson talking about networking. And another topic that he'll be talking about in the near future will be on identity theft. So we have a lot of good shows coming up, and even shows on about credit card processing. So a lot of fantastic things coming up in the near future. So we hope to see you then. With that, we will see you next Friday.
Okay, great show, guys. We're still live. I wanted to mention I've got a special guest coming up too, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. She's not quite ready, but maybe we'll give you some hints as we go along. Anyway, Gary, is there anything else, or are we just gonna shut it down?
I think that's it for today, unless John has anything.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody.